The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched and twisted into grotesque shapes across the forest floor. The dark forest, a place of legend and fear, loomed ahead. An unearthly quiet enveloped the woods, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and distant hoot of an owl. Sarah had heard the stories all her life, tales of the forest's malevolent spirits and creatures that feasted on the souls of the unwary. But tonight, driven by a mixture of curiosity and a dare from her friends, she had ventured into its depths alone. As she stepped further into the forest, a heavy mist began to roll in, curling around her ankles like the fingers of a phantom. The trees, ancient and gnarled, seemed to lean inwards, their branches forming a cage that blocked out the sky. Sarah's breath came in shallow gasps, her heart pounding in her chest. She told herself that the stories were just that, stories. There were no such things as ghosts or monsters, but the forest seemed to disagree. A low, almost imperceptible whisper began to weave through the trees. At first, Sarah thought it was the wind, but then she realized it carried words. Soft, sibilant voices that murmured just at the edge of comprehension. She strained to listen, but the more she tried to decipher the whispers, the more elusive they became. "Turn back," they seemed to say. "Leave this place." Sarah's hands trembled, and she clutched her flashlight tighter. The beam of light pierced the fog, illuminating a narrow path ahead. She forced herself to move forward, each step a battle against the primal urge to flee. Suddenly, she stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin, hidden deep within the woods. Its windows were dark and empty, like the eyes of a skull, and the door hung askew on broken hinges. Sarah's pulse quickened. Perhaps someone here could help her find her way out. She approached the cabin cautiously, her footsteps crunching on the thick layer of leaves that carved. Sarah felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She reached out to touch the book, and as her fingers brushed the cover, the whispers suddenly intensified, filling the room with a cacophony of voices. "Join us," they hissed. "We have waited so long." Panic surged through Sarah. She spun around, her flashlight beam dancing wildly. Shadows moved and twisted, forming into vague, humanoid shapes that advanced towards her. Their eyes, glowing with an eerie light, bore into her soul. With a scream, Sarah bolted for the door, her heart thudding in her ears. The shadows followed, their whispers growing louder, more insistent. She burst out of the cabin and into the forest, the mist thickening around her. The path she had followed was gone, swallowed by the darkness. She ran blindly, branches tearing at her clothes and skin. The whispers surrounded her, now a constant, maddening drone. She could feel them closing in, could sense their cold breath on her neck. In a final, desperate effort, she sprinted towards a faint glimmer of light in the distance. But as she reached the edge of the forest, her foot caught on a root, sending her sprawling to the ground. She lay there, gasping for breath, as the whispers crescendoed into a deafening roar. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was the moon, pale and indifferent, hanging high above the dark forest. The forest swallowed her scream, and the whispers fell silent once more.